Okay, now Form 1 students, today we're going to learn how to do the short writing. So now let's have a look at the short writing. Let's have a look at the task. You are going to write a letter to your favorite primary school teacher in order to show your gratitude to him or to her. Write about 70 to 80 words. Okay? So in other words, you are writing to your favorite primary school teacher, but I want you to write to the principal, 寫信俾小學校長 in order to give thanks to the primary school teacher. In other words, 即係寫信俾小學校長去多謝你嘅老師啦。Okay? So show your gratitude to someone, which means 多謝。Okay? 感恩或者感激。So write down. Now, let's have a look at the mind map 個腦圖 in order to help us organize our idea 去組織返我哋嘅 idea 啦。So first of all, we will have 4 paragraphs. The first paragraph is our greeting 我哋去打招呼。So first of all, we will talk about our name, which secondary school we are going to, which class we are in. So, for example, what is your name? Then you can say, my name is. When you're talking about which secondary school we are studying at, then we can say, I am now studying at which secondary school. Number 3, which class are you in now? Then you can say, I am now in class 1B. Then you finish the first paragraph, the greeting. So here, if you know the name of the primary school principal, then you can say, Dear Mr. or Mrs. Okay? And then you can ask a question for greeting. How are you getting on? 即係你近排點啦? How are you getting on? And then you can ask, you can say, I am, and you tell me your name, my name, or my name is, and then you can say, I'm now studying at Henrietta Secondary School. I am in class 1B. What about the second body paragraph, which is the purpose of writing? In other words, purpose means 目的，寫作嘅目的。So you tell me which primary school teacher you are going to give thanks to. Then you can say, I am going to, okay, I am going to give thanks to, I'm going to give thanks to my favorite primary school teacher. And then after that, you can use dash and then tell me who. Okay? In other words, you can begin your letter. You can begin this paragraph by saying, in this letter, I am going to give thanks to my favorite primary school teacher, Mr. Wong, for example. Then you can tell me, when did you meet Mr. Wong? Then you can answer the question by saying, I met him. Remember, when you ask a question in past tense, you need to answer me in past tense. Past tense, okay? I met him or I met her when I was in primary. So then you can write it here. Tell me which subject did he or did she teach you? Then you can say, he taught me which subjects. For example, Chinese, English, music. And then you finish this paragraph. So here, what about the third paragraph? Then you give me more detailed information. You can describe your primary school teacher. 描述下你嘅小學老師啦。For example, how does he look like? Or what did he look like? For example, you can tell me that he had short hair. He wore glasses. 戴眼鏡嘅。He wore glasses. Okay? And then after that, you can also tell me one important moment or one unforgettable moment that you had with your primary school teacher. 即係最難忘嘅時刻。Alright, now here we are talking about this paragraph. So you are the most marvelous teacher I have ever met. Then here you can tell me what he looked like. Sorry, that should be he or she is the most wonderful or marvelous teacher I have ever met, because you are writing to the principal to talk about your teacher. 你寫俾個校長去描述返你個老師啊嘛。So that's why that should be he or she is the most marvelous, the best teacher, or you can simply say the best teacher I have ever met. And then after that, you can tell me the most unforgettable memory between us is when. Okay, so when what? Then you have to tell me. For example, 俾個例子我啦。When I didn't know how to do the mathematics， 我唔識計數嘅時候 ，he taught me patiently， 好有耐性咁教我啦。Okay, so you can write the paragraph here. And finally, the conclusion 最後啦。What would you like to say to him or to her? In other words, you can begin with once again 再一次。I would like to show my gratitude to the primary school teacher. Finally, you can end your letter by saying love, comma, and then your name. Okay, your name. So this is how you do the letter. Okay, so if you cannot follow, you can go back to, you can scroll back to watch the video again.